So we're here in Deniliquin on the 21st of November 2023, and we've just seen a fairly big demonstration by farmers who are very, very unhappy at the government coming back to take another 450 gigs of water, or even maybe up to 700. So, we heard a lot of the speakers talk, and we saw a lot of the placards, and I'm pretty sure that those placards existed about 5 years ago. I'm sure they've just got them out and reused them. So, as Shelley may or may not know, Billboard Battalion, we go for what they call the conspiracy theory, which over the time has proved to be correct. What we're talking about is absolutely bona fide, and when I had Southern Basin Communities back in 2019 who were saying that the science was fraud, and that the politicians weren't interested in the environment, they were interested in killing farmers. So move forward another 4 years or so now, and we're seeing them wanting to come back and get a huge amount more water off our farming communities. So, what are your thoughts? Do we need to up the ante in terms of the comments people make, and leave all the greenies sort of keeping them happy, wishy-washy garbage behind, and go, right, this is the deal. They are here to take us out, and that's our platform we fight from. And do we need to get all our farmers on that page, on one page, and fight as a unit?
Oh, gee, that's a loaded question, right?
Oh, I know. Look, just as something to ponder.
Yeah. Look, I really...
We can touch back. So we can touch back.
It's all good. I really think the Basin Plan started with the right intentions. And then it's very easy, what Mark Twain says, water's for fighting, and it's easy for that to lose track along the way. And there's like those different regions. We've got down South Australia, and then we've got the Northern Basin, different ways that farmers use water. It all gets complicated when there's egos involved, and I definitely think there's been a lot of egos involved in how we fight this debate. And obviously the Greens have got so much more money than farmers do for fighting, so in their fighting fund. We all need to be on the one page, and I really think this is the first time that we have got farmers all on the one page from all across the basin saying no to water. So I think that's a step in the right direction for sure. We're not going to get a rewrite of the Basin Plan, which is really, what we need. We did need a percent, because there definitely was, things were a bit out of kilter. But, what I see was happen along the Murray, southern New South Wales and northern Victoria, they had some really good things in place where governments and communities came together to solve the problems. And we had, the Barmer Millawa water that was allocated to the Barmer forest before farmers could get an allocation. We had lots of really good systems in place to make sure the environment was placed first. And I think in the Millennium Drought, all those things were forgotten about, and all of a sudden it became very political. And farmers have been left behind.
So back in 2018, 2019, I personally, and even as a branch president of the VFF, and as you're well stood for the state president of the Victorian Farmers Federation, and I was advocating then we need to get rid of this basin plan, we need to scrap it and go back to the drawing board with honest people and decent people. And I copped a fair bit of flack saying, oh well, you don't want to blow up the plan because they're only going to come back with more water if you do that. So now 4 or 5 or 6 years later, we're in a situation where they're coming back looking for more water. And that's because people tried to take them, and now we're possibly looking at 700 gigs, and we know what that effect will have through this region.
It'll be devastating.
So what are your comments about that, even given that I see David Johinty now, the new president of the MFF, is coming out saying, government policy on water is terrible, it's destroying farmers, which once again was exactly what I was telling him, and he was being the president of the VFF. And they fought against me, now. So what are your thoughts in terms of, well, they're coming back for it anyhow, so should we have gone harder?
It's just very difficult.
I say to them,
perhaps, but then again at the time, I think, it was all about volumes, and people weren't understanding that, you can't just remove all the water from one part of the basin and solve all the ecological problems across the basin. I don't think the basin plan needs a rewrite. Like, I think if we can make some amendments within the basin plan that we've got, and we stop focusing on quantity and talk about quality, I think there's real opportunities. But we've got to take the volumes out of it. We've already got 4,622 gigs. That's how much the environment needs now. That's how much we've already got, which is already more than the basin plan volumes. Let's see how we can use that and use it more efficiently. There's really good opportunities to do that, and if we can get all our key groups all together in agreeing that there's a better way to go harder and keep our farmers farming, then I think there's a real opportunity if we can get everyone on the same page.
So a couple of points to finish off with. When we saw drought conditions and we saw farmers, particularly in the Southern Riverina, with the Murray River running a banker, they couldn't put more water in if they tried.
Yep.
And farmers were going broke because their crops were dying.
Yep.
What's your thoughts or comments about that? Were the politicians listening? Did they care? Did they turn up and say anything? Because that's a shocking, and that went national. That whole thing went national.
It's probably what broke my spirit, because that's when we had a really small rice crop in that year because we planned that. Most people didn't, but we did, knowing that we were going to get a 14% allocation, and that never came yet. The forest was flooding. The river was over a bank, and that was soul crushing, to be honest. And there were some family circumstances that led us to selling our farm. But it was at that time, and I just went far out. We're not using water efficiently, and how do we fight this? But there's so much in that. It's poor policy about growing permanent plantings downstream of the Troke. There's all that into consideration. I think there's just been really poor planning, state and federal level, and they're not communicating with each other. They're operating in silos, and our river systems don't operate in silos.
So I suppose to close off, we talk a lot, and we talk all over Australia, a lot about the implications of the World Economic Forum and the UN, the Agenda 2021, Agenda 2030, the 30 by 30 plan, sustainable development goals, all this sort of stuff. And that's what's really driving this. So our politicians no longer work for us; they work for foreign terrorist organisations, in my opinion. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think our politicians are generally trying to help, or do you think now that after seeing what we've seen, we've got the history, we've got the points on the board, do you think that those organisations now have a big impact on what's happening to us, and that they are actually the top of the tree?
I can't help in the bottom of my heart, but growing up in what I felt was this country that people got a fair go. Growing up, I really was so proud to be Australian. And I can't help but believe in the bottom of my heart that we've got hope, because without hope, what have you got to live for? And I just hope that there's some greed or something going on with our politicians, and eventually the light bulb's going to come on, and they're going to say, we've got to turn it around, because we're getting very close to the end. We're going to go.
I'll talk to you about another time.
Yeah, because there's one thing out of business.
Okay, look, thanks very much, Shelley. Been good to catch up after so long, and I'm in the political game, so are you. Some of the things I say probably rattle a few people's feathers every now and again, but that's just tough. You know what I mean? We shoot from the hip and we tell them what it is, and as you know, I've been in this game for a long time. So anyway, thank you very much for
being here today.
Yep. No, well, hey, we've got to do what we can do. So, all right, thanks, Shelley.
I'm sorry I couldn't
what's the better way?
bang and give you the answer you wanted. I've got to try.